Okay, I can't get to shut off. Okay. Hello again, and welcome to Album of Horses. This is going to be part 6. Okay, I can get rid of that now. In the last one, okay, this is a book this is an original copy, 1965 copy of this particular book. It is by Marguerite Henry, and Wesley Dennis is the illustrator. Now, in the last one, we talked about, okay, I don't know. I just did the video and I don't remember what we talked about. Oh yeah, it was about the Hackney. I believe it was about the Hackney and the Percheron. So, we are to the draft horse section of this book. And if I'm not mistaken, the next one that we are going to be reading about is the Belgian. And so yeah, let's get this show on the road then. The Belgian. Okay, now let's look at these pictures here. Like people arguing over horses. Okay. And we're going to just zoom out a little bit on this one. Okay, sometimes both a man and a horse have a strong sense of determination, and when they put their mind and muscle to the same lead, it moves. Horse pulling contests at county fairs are as old as kerosene lanterns, and well, actually kerosene lamps. I think I used the term lanterns around here. And like the lamps, they often caused a good deal of smoke. Matched teams took turns pulling a boat-like sled loaded down with stones or sacks of sand. The team that could pull the boat the furthest in one straight pull was hailed champion. But often such a contest ended in a fist-flying fight. A losing driver would complain that for his team, the stone boat was not set on the same path, and the grass wasn't so level as for the winning team. The crowd would split. Some took sides with the loser. Some rose loudly in the defense of the winner. And the fight was on, and it recurred as regularly as harvest. Finally, after many years of experimenting, a wondrous machine was designed, as different from the stone boat as a jet plane is different from a kite. It is known as the dynamometer, and it has iron weights like scales to register just how much power a team can pull. Now, no matter what terrain, uphill or down, concrete road or cinder path, the resistance of the dynamometer is the same always. This scientific measuring stick ended the fights of the pulling contest, and it did more. It told the farmers exactly how many pounds his team could pull, and this knowledge kept him from overloading them or making two trips when one would do. But the real and deep benefit was that it acted as a spur in improving the quality of the draft horse. In 1924, the world record was a pull of 3,100 pounds. Now the record, set by a handsome pair of Belgians, is 4,275 pounds. Please don't ask me to convert that to metric, because no, I don't know anything about metric. Belgians are the big, rugged horses that consistently set the heavyweight records. They get right down and lay right too, as the teamsters say, and so determined are the creatures that onlookers strain forward, tensing their own muscles, pulling as if they were yoked alongside the horses. The field has to be roped off to keep the people from rushing in, and even then they push against the ropes, struggling, straining, sweating with the teams. How they groan if their favorite team falls. Oh, this one is short too. Okay. And then we're going to look at these real quick. Prime of life, age, youth. Okay, and we're going to focus in on these pictures while I read. Short of the goal. Okay. Now, what was that? I'm going to have to go back and look. How they groan if their favorite team falls short of the goal. And how they whoop and holler with it when an extra pull sends the register past the 2-ton figure. The driver is not allowed to use his whip, not even a slap to slap the lines against the horse's rumps. It is the coupling of man and horse that wins, courage and strength on the part of the horse, coolness and steadiness on the part of the man. While farmers once had to be wheeled and coaxed and almost pulled in by their ears to hook up their teams to a dynamometer, now as many as 125 pairs are entered into the national pulling contest. In the heavyweight division, more Belgian teams compete than any other draft horse breeds. Belgians have been asked to go on some strange pulling assignments, both as the High race meeting in Miami and the Churchill Downs in Louisville. The same four-horse team of Belgians pull a big starting gate on and off the track. These horses are as beautiful and important in their way as the sleek race horses for whom they work. Shiny chestnut in color with creamy white tails and manes, they are all pompous dignity. As the runners burst from the starting gate, the four Belgians quiver for just a moment as if they too would like to fly around the track. Then they lean into the traces, and staunchly pull the gate away, justly proud of their own part in the show. A study of the build of the Belgian will show that he is a weight puller. His body is compact with great muscular hindquarters to furnish propelling power, and his legs are so short that when he doubles down into his harness, he seems part of the very earth, almost as if he drew his strength from the core of it. He does not pretend to have high action or an airy way of going. His forte is that strong sense of determination which makes a winner. Stolid, quiet, slow-moving, he is built for a big task. A wagon load of corn stuck in the mire is a monster rooted until he digs into the earth with his toes and pulls and pulls. A tractor sometimes gives up. And what's more, says one horseman, tractors can't multiply either. They can only divide and fall to pieces. Today there are fewer workhorses in the United States than there were 10 and 20 years ago, but the percentage of Belgians is increasing. Not all of them are purebred. Some are grade Belgians. That is, their sires were purebred and their dams were of unknown breeding, but so potent is the blood of the purebred that he stamps his own rugged characteristics on his colts. That what caused the Belgian horse to develop such power? Some think the humid soil, which produces the rich grass of his native land, helped to build his strong and heavy bones. Belgium is regarded as the homeland of the great horse of Flanders, and from him the present-day Belgian is descended. In the Middle Ages, both as war chargers and field horses, he played an important role in life. The heavy soil that made him strong requires a heavy horse to till it. The preferred color has always been chestnut, roan, or bay with flaxen manes and tails. Some of the horses, as they age, grow walrus-shaped mustaches, which give them a grave and dignified air. Although Belgians are a very old breed, they were not brought to the United States until 1885, but almost immediately they were in demand. Farmers discovered that at 18 months a colt was ready for light work, such as pulling a sleigh full of children to school. At 2, he could be hitched to a plow, and by the time he was 4 years old, when other draft breeds were just beginning to work, he was a seasoned veteran in the field. Belgian owners have a fine appreciation for their breed. Perhaps it takes a man of strong determination to own a horse with the same will. Together with mind and muscle, they can pull a load out of mud or a farm out of debt. That was the Belgian. Now we're ready for the Clydesdale, which is one of my favorite breeds. Definitely. The Clydesdale. Okay. Let's see. Let me change my positioning real quick. Be right back. And back. Okay, Clydesdales. We have some pictures here. Yep. And we'll look at this picture for now. And here we go. Bring in your heavy draft geldings, the ringmaster's voice shrills out of the loudspeaker system. Bring in your heavy draft geldings. A rustle of expectation ripples over the auditorium. The 4-H boys and girls stir in their seats, eyes darting from one entrance gate to the other. Suddenly the ringmaster's white-gloved hands are raised like ivory batons, and the big drafters come thumping into the ring, each one led by a groom. 10 ponderous animals line up facing the rail, their rolled-up tails toward the center of the ring. With a nod of his beaver hat, the ringmaster tells the judges that all the entries are in. The 2 wide gates swing shut, and there is a heavy pause while the lights stream down on the sleek royal entries, all festooned with rosettes and bows. Excitement mounts as boys and girls, farmers and stockmen lean forward in their squeaking seats, whispering numbers and names to one another. And now the judge goes to work. With a quick sweep of his eyes, he looks on the 10 magnificent creatures, then points his cane at the one nearest the groom. The one nearest. Okay. The sentence ends there. The groom begins walking the horse in a line straight away from the judge and back again, then trotting him away and back. The judge stops him, picks up a hoof, examines it for soundness, and sends the horse down to the far end of the class. One after one, each mighty animal is studied in action and at place, and now 9 are lined up, and the Clydesdale stands alone. He is a handsome bay with flashy white markings, listed on the program as Ferguson's Rob Roy. I know this horse. I've probably actually seen this actual horse. He's still a Foundation sire, because I see him at the Clydesdale shows. The judge signals him with his cane, and the groom, looking little and puny by comparison, walks the drafter straight away from the judge. Deliberately, the Clydesdale lifts his feet well off the ground, planting his hind feet forward as decisively as his forefeet. The raised and bending action of his hocks has an oiled ease of a piece of machinery. A patter of applause breaks out long before the judge is ready to name the winner. Reversed, he barks to the groom, trot him back. The groom turns the Clydesdale around, and now comes the telling stroke. The trot. No, let's look at these, and then we'll continue on. Okay. Beautiful. Okay. Okay. And okay. Up to the rail of the ring, back again to the center, working both ways, the Clydesdale demonstrates his ground-covering action while the groom huffs and puffs to keep up. The people begin clapping to the rhythm. Action. That is what they look for in the Clydesdale, high and lively, so that the flowing feather on the back of the horse's legs make a big swish as he goes. The judge's eyes narrow as he looks for more than action. He rocks back on his heels, measuring through squinty eyes from the top of the Clydesdale's head to the top of his shoulder, from the top of his shoulder to the top of his rump, from the top of his rump to the top of his tail. Are the distances nearly equal? They are, but the judge's face is masked. He picks up the four hoofs, and looks to see if they are bell-shaped and sound. Then, with a wave of his cane, he sends the Clydesdale to the far end. An utter quiet fills the great auditorium as the judge, without the least haste, walks up and down before the lineup. Then he nods ever so slightly towards the Clydesdale, and the loudspeaker trumpets the words. First is number 10, Ferguson's Rob Roy, owned by, but the owner's name is swallowed in a happy din of approval. Of all the draft horses, the Clydesdale is the showman, his long, reachy stride covering ground as if he wore 7-league boots. It is his action and stamina that have made him the long-lived dray horse, still to be seen on city streets, but more often in pairs or big hitches on farms all over the world, in Midwest United States and in Canada, in Australia and New Zealand. Clydesdale teams plow and harrow and harvest, and in Argentina in the zone of La Pampa, where the wheat fields flow on and on forever, many farmers use 6 or even 12 horse teams to haul their harvest to the railroad. The long procession looks like enormous snakes winding across the land. These big teams work together as one horse, but each pair has its own job. The leader, for example, has a little farther to go on turns than the ones behind, so they need to be a shade quicker in their action. The wheel team has to be big and strong because on a short turn it is one wheel that does practically all the pulling. But the swing pair, the one in the middle, must be nimble as cats. On short turns, it takes quick footwork to keep out of the way of the pole. If the Clydesdale could talk, he would have a Scotch burr in his voice, for he is the national horse of Scotland. It is good country in Scotland, where he was foaled, a country of uphills and lowlands, rich in pasture, and in the crops that horses like, oats and hay and apples and turnips. Here between Glasgow on the north and Ganna Hill on the south, the famous Clydesdales were first bred. They took their name from the river Clyde that winds its way through the rolling land. Heavy mists billow into the valley from the Atlantic Ocean, wetting the earth and keeping it always moist. This means a healthy hoof. Today, the soundness of feet and leg is one of the chief assets of the Clydesdale. Some books credit a Scottish nobleman, the 6th Duke of Hamilton, with importing 6 Flemish stallions from England in 1715 to improve the quality of the native Scotch horse. Other history books say it was John Patterson, a farmer of Lochlyok, but all agree that a black stallion named Blaze had a great influence on establishing the Clydesdale characteristics. He was foaled in 1779 with a wide white stripe down his face, which prompted his name. Perhaps he looked so shiny black because of the contrast made by his white markings. In addition to the white blaze, he wore knee-length white socks. When he trotted, these long white stockings made it appear as if he lifted his feet very high into the air and slapped them down with extraordinary vigor. No one was at all surprised when this action won for him the first prize at the Grassmarket show in Edinburgh. To most of his descendants, Blaze has bequeathed his style action and his showy white markings, but his black coat is only occasionally seen. The prevailing colors today are bay and brown. No one knows who first started the custom of braiding the Clydesdale's mane in an Aberdeen roll. It just seemed to be part of Scotland, like kilts and bagpies. Instead of plaiting the mane and little pigtails, the Scotsmen started between the horse's ears and braided horizontally along the crest, weaving into it long strands of bright-colored bunting or raffia. This made a roll along the crest, but left the remainder of the mane hanging free to emphasize the arch of the neck. Rosebuds on long spikes were festooned at equal distances along the roll and made it stand up like tiny inverted paste brushes. To this day, the Clydesdale even enters the show ring without having his mane done. To this day, Clydesdale's ever enters the show ring without having his mane done in an Aberdeen roll. At the great fairs and stock shows, a parade of the prize-winning draft horses of each breed are usually held on the last night of the show. The big, powerful drafters prance majestically around the ring, apparently enjoying the spotlight and the applause of the crowd, to the especial delight of the Clydesdale owners. The music by which the big ones march is the shrill and windy skrilling of the bagpipes. It's the Vera instrument. They lean over and whisper to their friend at their elbow, and see the proud beast knitting and nodding in pleasure. That was the Clydesdale. And in the next one, we will be reading about the Shire. Oh, wow, this one's really short. And the Suffolk Punch. But for now, that is going to be the end of this video. Thanks for watching, everyone, and I appreciate all the support. If you like this content, make sure that you like and subscribe and that you ring the bell. Also, if you want to support me in any way, all that information will be in the description below. And with that being said, thanks for watching, everyone, and have a great day.